We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream.
Hey,
When I click that green button, that means we're live. So we're live on Periscope. This is the pre-show. Welcome to the pre-show. We're going to start the show in about 10 minutes because we usually stream at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're streaming to Facebook and Twitch as well. Hello, everybody in Facebook and Twitch land.
Hello.
Facebook takes a little bit. It's fetching the video stream right now. This is why we do the pre-show, because we get 10 minutes for everybody to get in there. And looks like the preview's coming in. All the hashtags are good. Facebook is a little bit weird sometimes, so I have to just hit live and hope for the best. We're hanging out in the Discord chat room as well if anybody wants to chat after the show. That's discord.gg/Adafruit. I don't see anything in Facebook. So you can see my screen is like, it just shows black. And it's like, I'm looking at your screen, it shows it just fine.
No, it's showing.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody in Facebook land.
Hello, we're going to start the show in about 7 minutes at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I have to check Restream.io. Warnings like everywhere. Wrong keyframe interval. Wrong keyframe interval.
Whoops. Forgot
Yeah.
YouTube chat. Sorry about that.
Welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 8th. We are going to start the show in 7 minutes. We're just letting the stream populate so that folks can get in, because notifications take a little bit to kick in. So we're just hanging out today. Hello, everybody in the YouTube chat room. We have Kirby, stuff with Kirby. We have Apt Pupil. We have Jim. Hey, Jim. We have Matt, Felipe, Mary, Leonardo, Neek, Michael. Hello from San Jose. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to start the show in 6 minutes. Hello from Iran, says Motion.
We got Nike in the house, Dave, Sailor.
Are we saying it right? Nike? Or Neek? Dave, Brian, Jim.
SQ.
Good afternoon. Where are you from? London over here. Yanni is in Finland.
Oh, we got people all over Denmark,
That's
Persian
incredible.
Gulf.
Do you guys like Pedro's shirt? What?
The shirt.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's a nice shirt. It's from Threadless. Threadless.com. They are not sponsoring today's video. But they're a great company. I like them. Hello from Texas, Lawrence.
Nikkei.
Nikkei.
Nah, it's Nike.
Nike? Cool. A musical episode? No, we're terrible. I can do the music. I can do the drums and piano. Pedro can dance. Orlando, Florida. Brian is from Orlando. We're actually going to be in Orlando this weekend.
Yes.
We're going to visit the old mouse.
The Mises. Hello, Jim, maker of Pumpkin.
Hello. Thank you for publishing it. A very, very beautiful model. You know what I mean? It's very detailed, very good model.
So, reminder here from Kirby that John Park will be on right after our show.
That is correct.
So stay tuned for that.
That is very fun. We'll be tuning in too as we lunch. We'll be monitoring the chats, so it'll be fun. It is show day today, folks. We have a lot of shows today. 3 Hangouts, John Park Workshop, Show and Tell, and then Ask Engineer. That is a total of 4 shows. That's a lot of shows.
Oh, we some requests in here for a Wii U gamepad with a Raspberry Pi on the inside.
Wow, that's a neat idea. Bonjour from France. Nathan is from France. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, cool. Unicorn Studios, makers of the Pumpkinstein, is out of
that's
Orlando.
great, yeah. Very cool name. I like the unicorn theme and everything. It's very, very cool. We will start the stream in 4 minutes. When I mean start the stream, I mean start the show. The stream's already streaming. Is there anything else we need to push out before we do the show? We're just kind of waiting, hanging out. Piro saying ciao de la Francia.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Robonautics, for the super chat. He is saying, how are you guys? We're doing okay. Thank you so much for asking. How are you doing?
Thank you for the donation.
Is it possible to get a live feed from Raspberry Pi connected to a Wi-Fi DSLR camera? I don't know about the DSLR camera part, but I know Tinkernut did a really great tutorial on how to live stream, how to do a YouTube live stream from a Raspberry Pi. And he also did a guide, a write-up guide on the Adafruit learning system. So, very cool.
Everybody say hello to John Park in the chat room.
Hey, it's John Park. Good morning to you, sir.
In the YouTube chat.
Nice. Nike's also going to make a AirPlay speaker. An AirPlay speaker is one of those like really cool projects you can do with the Pi Zero, and it's a lot of cool people have done really cool projects with it.
Oh, and it's actually a Unicron, not unicorn.
Oh, really?
Unicron.
Unicron. Whoops. My brain reads unicorn. Did one of I think it was about a year ago. He did an AirPlay Raspberry Pi Zero project as well. He used the fat DAC from the awesome Pyromoni guys, and that one has really nice audio quality. I believe it's only mono, it's not stereo, and it has a headphone jack. So it's a really good thing if you want to do the whole headphone jack and you want to have like your own speaker amplifier, you know, that sort of thing. The speaker bonnet has it built in, which we'll talk about in just a minute.
Yep, 1 minute. Let's go ahead and
close the curtains.
Get ready.
Okay. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another 3D Hangout. I'm Noah Ruiz, a designer here at Adafruit, and joining me every week is Mr. Pedro.
What's going on everybody? Pedro Ruiz, creative tech here at Adafruit, and every week we come to share 3D printed projects featuring electronics from Adafruit.
That's right, this is where we combine 3D printing, DIY electronics, smash them together to make inspirational projects like this little cute guy here. Welcome everybody to the chat room. It is episode 161. It is a Wednesday. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time here in sunny Florida. And welcome everybody to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, and you guys here on YouTube. So thank you guys for joining us. We're also in the Discord chat room after the show. If you want any project help and that sort of thing, share your projects with us on Discord. The link is discord.gg/Adafruit. Whew, that was a lot. Let's get started.
Super packed show today. Let's go ahead and run through all the bill of pain pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Today's coupon code is Pi Bonnet. If you want to get 10% off in the shop, go ahead and use Pi Bonnet on checkout. Saves you 10%. Works on everything except certificates and subscriptions.
That's right. Hey, you know what? We have a lot of freebies. Go to adafruit.com/free to find out all the different tiers and stuff. We have a nice section on the website that talks about that. It is adafruit.com/free. And another thing I want to note is it is that time of the year where holiday shipping deadlines are a thing. You should probably know about them if you're trying to get your gifts and stuff like that or order. There are some helpful tips in this blog post here. It tells you when is the last date and all the different UPS, what are they called? Options: ground, 3-day, 2-day, next day, and first class for USPS. So check all that stuff there.
All specified based on how sooner to get there before Christmas, but you definitely want to get those orders in before then, before we run out of stock.
That's right.
This happens every year. Get it in now, get it out of the way.
Yeah. So Adafruit is veterans at this and letting people know when the time is right to get your orders in. So hopefully y'all are planning that because it's kind of nice. It's my favorite song right here. All right, so next is same-day delivery stuff. If you are in the certain zip codes in New York City, you can get same-day delivery if you want that, and you're in a rush to get your project done. We have that option. We also have newsletters. We got the adafruitdaily.com newsletter. You go to adafruitdaily.com. It is a separate thing. It's not tied to your account or anything, so you got to opt in for that one. You kind of work hard to get our newsletters. Speaking of other newsletters, new newsletter is also a thing. Check that out. It's more product focused, and you get one a week, so it's not like every day. We're gonna jump into this week's project. This week's project, I hope you saw the video. It is a remix of Boomy, the Boombox, as a Raspberry Pi AirPlay speaker. So if we go to the learning guide, if you go to learning system, learn.adafruit.com, you're gonna see this guide here. So this was a project idea that Lamar wanted to do when she first released the speaker bonnet. What is the speaker bonnet? Speaker bonnet is this guy over here. This is the speaker bonnet. We now sell it as a kit, which includes the speakers and the Raspberry Pi Zero. So when Lamar released the speaker bonnet, it was actually one of her first bonnet designs. The bonnet is Adafruit's Raspberry Pi mini hat, a baby hat. A bonnet, so that's why Adafruit calls it the bonnet. So there's a couple different bonnets. This was the first one Lamar designed, and it is all about audio. It gives your Pi digital stereo audio. It has an amplifier on it as well, so that it can power these 3-watt speakers. And the speaker set comes with a little JST connector, so it's really easy to just directly plug it into the speaker bonnet. Speaker bonnet fits on top of the Raspberry Pi, and it breaks out a couple of extra pins, which is really nice. So that is the hero of this project, is really the speaker bonnet. And the project idea was really, this would make a really good AirPlay speaker. An AirPlay speaker is one of those cool projects that if you search on YouTube, there's quite a few of them. Our friend Kirby actually made a really good one too, using the Fat DAC from Pyramoni. And there's a couple other cool ones too, like the folks over at Make made one about 2 years ago. So we thought we'd throw our hat in and kind of make one. So the other hero of this is the software called SharePort Sync. So SharePort was originally developed by one developer, and he made it a couple years ago, and then he stopped supporting it. So another dev team stepped in and kind of added to it and started and kept adding to it and contributing. So it's now called SharePort Sync, because this new version supports multi-rooms. So let's talk about AirPlay and what AirPlay is real quick. AirPlay is a kind of a proprietary protocol for iOS, Apple TV, and macOS devices. So this is kind of like a Mac-only thing. There is something called Chromecast, which Google Chrome came out with, kind of like to compete against it. This doesn't support that. This one's strictly just for the AirPlay stuff. So maybe there's a thing for Google Chrome, but the point here is that this is like the main kind of software that we're using. So let's jump back over to the guide and just kind of talk a little bit about some of the things you need to build this. You don't need to make it portable. In order to make it portable, you can use a PowerBoost 1000C, which has a built-in charger, a battery, of course. This is the 2200 milliamp battery, and some extra things like these buttons to do like volume, mute, and a safe power down, a slide switch to turn it off and on. But again, if you don't want your Boomy AirPlay speaker or whatever you're going to do, you don't need to have it portable, but I thought I'd make it portable. Another thing is the Pico hat, which is from Pyramoni. This is a little board that allows you to offset, well, for me, it allowed me to offset the speaker bonnet, which was really, really handy for enclosing it into the enclosure. So again, the speaker bonnet kit it includes the Raspberry Pi Zero and the speakers, or you can get everything separately if you want. So you might already have these things. There are some extra things you want to get, like the Pico hat I was saying, and male headers, that sort of thing. Screws, all sorts of screws are all listed, wire sizes, heat shrink tubing, mounting tech. A lot of different things in here. It looks a little bit like, man, there's a lot of stuff, but I figured I'd put everything in there just so you know exactly what you kind of need. You don't want to start building it and be like, oh crap, I need these screws. So that's kind of why we list everything out, down to like, you know, the tools and the mounting tech. Second page talks about the 3D printing part. This is 3D printed. It is a little bit bigger than the original Boomy. Boomy was designed for AdaBox 04 and the Feather Music Maker wing. So to fit a Raspberry Pi inside Boomy, I had to kind of make it a little bit bigger, but it's using the exact same techniques for doing the multicolored printing technique. This is where you print on top of, you basically swap out the filament and you're printing stacking on top of it so that you kind of achieve this multicolored looking effect. So you basically say, you tell the printer, all right, I want you to print and then stop at 1 millimeter, and then you swap out the filament, and then you put in another color, and then you print starting from 1 millimeter, and so on and so forth. So we have a guide broken out on how to do that. This uses NinjaFlex buttons. So there are 4 buttons on Boomy to control audio. The original Boomy didn't have any buttons. This one has real buttons. And of course I'm using the soft tactile buttons, which don't make any noises. They just work really well. The CAD file is completely free to download. It is a Fusion 360 thing, but you don't need Fusion 360. You can download it. If you go over here and click the link, you can download it as a SolidWorks file, a step file, SAT file, FBX file, SketchUp, Google SketchUp, Object, anything you want. That's one of the cool things about Fusion is they let you download it in different formats. And you get all the components. So if I explode this out, you can see all the different components that make up Boomy. We'll go over the CAD a little bit later, but if you want to use any of the components I used in this design, you can extract them, save them out as a standalone STL or standalone SAT file and use them in your projects, which is kind of nice. So I got the Pico hat in there, the Pi Zero, the speaker bonnet, the actual speakers, and some other things like the power boost and the buttons and the slide switch. So those are cool. Going back over to the guide, I actually recommend using a screw tap to create threads for your standoffs. Normally what I do is I like to create the threads with machine screws, but I got myself a screw tap just because I was buying a bunch of screws and I kind of tossed that in as a last minute thought, and I'm really happy that I did. Screw taps are awesome. Definitely use them. I recommend them.
Handy.
Yeah, they're really handy. I'm gonna start using them a lot more. Let's see, so the 3D printed case, one of the things that I recommend, since the case is kind of big and takes a while, I recommend printing it at a 0.3 layer height, and mainly because you don't need all this extra layer resolution in this case, because it's kind of big anyway, so you kind of don't need all that resolution. So 3.3 millimeters will save you maybe half an hour to an hour of print time, which is cool. And then I just kind of walk through the assembly. A lot of the parts, like the handle, are secured to the case with just machine screws. The little grip thing clips into the handlebar, which is nice. And then you do need a little bit of glue for some other things like this port plate, which is a recessed port that allows you access for the HDMI and the USB ports on the Pi. And also, a new thing I added was an acrylic window. So this acrylic window is really, really cool. So here's Boomy. It's this big. It's about 150 by something by 50. And on the back, I'm really happy with the back. So the back, this is a giant opening here. And I figured I would CNC mill an acrylic window so that I can see inside the case. And this is really what I think makes this a really kind of interesting project, because you can see inside, you can see all the electronics. On top of that, I etched Lamar's traces from the actual speaker bonnet. So these are traces from EagleCAD that were CNC milled on top of this acrylic, so you can see inside of it. So here's the panel. It's recessed about 2 millimeters inward, and that just allows you to connect USB cables that might have big connectors like this one, for example, so that you can actually fit it in there. And of course, this has USB charging. And another good reason why you can see inside is you can see all the status LEDs. So you can see that it's charging, or the battery gets low, the red LED will turn on. It's kind of nice. Another thing I did was I added an LED backlight module so that everything inside here is lit up. So that's really cool. You can really see all the things in there. You can also see a lot of stickers. So just to kind of make it more lively, I added these Raspberry Pi stickers, and that one's Smokey the Blue Monster, the Blue Smoke Monster. I even added one of these Adafruit stickers that is like these circuit traces that spell out Adafruit, which is kind of neat. It's reflective and silver, looks cool. So let's go jump back into the guide and kind of walk through some of the build stuff. So the next page is software. I definitely recommend doing the software before you start assembling anything in terms of the 3D prints. I definitely do recommend assembling the actual Pi hat, the speaker bonnet, so that you can test out your audio. So you're going to need an external monitor, of course, and your keyboard. If you've never burnt an SD card with the Raspbian image, we have a nice guide on how to do that. So check that out. You also want to get set up with Wi-Fi. There is Wi-Fi built into the Pi Zero W, but you have to configure it. So just run through that process, get yourself up, and you probably want to have SSH so you can remotely connect and run all the commands through your desktop instead of having to do it all in the Pi. We walk you through all that stuff, and the speaker bonnet installation is really easy. You just add one command through the terminal while you're SSH'd in, and it'll run through and install the script for you. So it's really easy to get your speaker bonnet up and running. The next thing is to install SharePort on top of that, and SharePort Sync. The folks from the Raspberry Pi IO website actually made a really good guide on how to install the software. So just walk through this. This is very well broken out and explains exactly what the commands are doing. So you're basically installing dependencies and stuff like that for audio and for just SharePort Sync. So very, very cool guide from the Pi IO website. So definitely give them a visit. Now, the one thing that we contributed to it is actually Lamar wrote some Python code to make these buttons wired to the Raspberry Pi's GPIO control volume. So you can control volume up, volume down, mute, and you can safely power down the Pi. So you want to grab some dependencies, install some audio thing called Pi-ALSA Audio, Pi-ALSA Audio, and the controller script itself. So what I do recommend though is you know, if you're wiring the buttons, just make sure that the button values, the GPIO numbers, match up with where you think you want the button controllers to be. So it's pretty much English. You can read the Python code. Here you have the volume up button is wired to pin, not pin, but GPIO number 16. Volume down is 20, and so on and so forth. So that's really what you want to update. One of the things that I think is really funny and cool is that if you scroll all the way down to the code here, where it says Echo Raspberry Pi is shutting down, you can actually change this to say Boomy is shutting down, and that's what I did. So I'll demo that in a little bit. And then you want to do an auto start config, which you do one little edit to the rc.local file, and this just allows it so that when you reboot the Pi, you don't have to reconfigure everything. It just automatically starts up the GPIO controller script, which is what you want, so you can safely power down your Pi and adjust the volume and stuff.
And pause there. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat room are actually saying that the shutdown with the GPIO button is quite popular. We will demo that in a little bit.
Yeah, I guess let's demo it now. So let's go over to the overhead. So whatever button you wire up, so this is the volume up, and that's how loud Boomy is. It gets pretty loud. So you can mute it as well. So I can mute it like that, unmute it, turn it down. Now what I'm going to do is just show you guys how kind of native it is with iOS. So without, you know, to get to it, it's pretty easy. iOS has this control center thing, and then there's this kind of media playback. So you click on, you click on this button up here, and then right away your iOS device will give you a list of all the available devices, and Apple TV is right there, and there's Raspberry Pi. I'm sure you can change the name if you want, but I just left it as default, so it says Raspberry Pi. So I'm listening to Bartle Beats, obviously. I'm going to pause it right now, and we're going to try to shut it down. So the cool thing about shutting down is you can't accidentally shut it down. You have to actually hold the button down for like 3 seconds. So I'm going to hold it down. Okay, and then the LEDs start going off. Oh, you missed it because the volume is low. But it said Boomy is shutting down now, and it shuts down. You get the status LEDs here on the Pi. It like blinks a couple times. I think you can see it right there too, so you can see it blinking 1, 2, 3, and it's shut down now. Obviously, the power boost is still getting power, so it is still blue. The blue LED just lets you know that the power boost is getting voltage from the battery. And the LED here is still lit. The LED is actually wired into the 3 volts pin that is on top of the Pi Zero, or actually on top of the Pi bonnet, the speaker bonnet. And you definitely want to use a resistor. I blew mine out the first time I tried it because I didn't have a resistor. And don't wire it to 5 volts, wire it to the 3-volt pin on the speaker bonnet. So that's how that's working. These are pretty neat.
Sounds like you're getting a Sparky pin. Huh?
I have him in there. He's already in there. So turn that off. You see this is what it looks like without any LED backlit panel. Let's talk really quick about this super cool LED backlight module. This is product number 1622. And this comes, we actually have them in different sizes. This is the medium sized one. And what's cool about these is these are actually for displays. They are just the LED module, and it's basically a regular LED that is kind of sandwiched inside of this acrylic window. Let's see if I can get some better focusing here with the manual focus enabled. And what we're going to do is take a look at it. So it's actually a little acrylic piece that has 2 diffuser pieces. Now, one thing to know is that it is only single-sided illumination, so it's not going to illuminate on both sides. Here's a little coin cell. I'm just going to plug it in like that and light it up. But it gets a pretty even distribution of light. There's no light here, really. It's all right there. So what I recommend doing is taking this off and then adding some double-sided tape to it. That way, if you mount it here to an enclosure, like say like my hand's the enclosure, it'll start drooping. So you want to make sure you have some extra double-sided tape. These are really awesome. I haven't seen many projects that use this. Actually, I take that back. I saw one project earlier this week that used this backlight panel, but it's really cool. I think it's a really great solution to light up your enclosures like Boomy here. So turn it on here. The slide switch is on the side, by the way. And I think it provides some. It definitely brings the edge light mill here. The traces, they get like lit up because that's the way light diffusion works. So yeah, you can get these guys. They're about $2. Special LEDs. They come in 3 different sizes. Again, this one is 1622, which is the medium-sized one. And you can, I think PT actually made it into like a wearable. He was like wearing it. It's very Blade Runner-y. It's not too bright and it's not too dim. It's a little bit brighter than EL panel, so it works pretty well.
Yeah, he's really into those wearables that are just subtle enough to see the light on it.
That's right.
They're really good for that.
So on the website, $2. That's the one I got. They come in 3 different sizes. This one was too big to fit inside Boomy, and the small one was, well, it was too small. So really cool. They're that big, and they're kind of nice. So back over to the guide. I don't know how we got there, but circuit diagram was really kind of simple. I showcase it with the power boost connecting into the 5 volts and the ground on the speaker bonnet, and then the buttons all connect to various GPIO pins that are broken outside of the little header area. And then we have a switch wired to enable and ground, so we can turn the circuit on and off. So that's nice. Very, very straightforward. The next thing I want to talk about is the Pico hat. So the Pico hat is by Pyromoni guys, and this is supposed to kind of be something that fits in between, let's say, a Pi TFT and your Raspberry Pi, so that you have those GPIO pins broken out. But in this case, I'm using it to offset the board. And another thing I want to talk about is a 3D printed GPIO header jig. This thing is from Thingiverse user Pi Minister, and I was like, maybe a couple months ago, I was like, man, I need to design like a jig to make it easier to solder the Pi headers to the Pi, because they're a little bit difficult to do. You kind of have to, you know, rig up your own way to do it, whether you're using mounting tack or you're just, you know. So this is a little thing that the board slides into, and then it keeps the headers straight on the Pi hat. And there's different configurations and different types of pins. So whichever, look, that's actually the Pi, the Fat DAC from Pyromoni. It's really, really cool. That's what I used in my project. It just helps a lot, and I'm using it for every Pi project now because it keeps everything nice and straight and true, and then you can secure that 3D printed jig onto your Panavice or your Vice grips or whatever you're using. So very, very cool. I definitely recommend it. If you've never heard about it, check it out. I have it linked in the guide, and it's also right here. So a huge shout out to Pi Minister for sharing that design. couple people have made it, so that's good. Back over to the guide though, installing the Pi hat. Now you have some different options there's so many different ways to configure a Pi hat, Pi bonnet. You can have female headers and then male headers, male header, female headers that like, you can stack them high, you can stack them low. I chose to do it very, very slim. So the kind of bad thing about that is you can no longer, permanently soldered together. So I can't take out the bonnet, but if you would like to use the female headers on the bonnet, because the Pi bonnet does come with the female headers, you can definitely use them, but you definitely want to use the Pico hat so that it is offsetting the board. So that's that. And then you want to trim the pins if you have very long pins, but that's what I chose to do. Speaker bonnet, again, the speaker bonnet is normally you put a female header on it, but I put a male header because I need to attach the speaker bonnet to the Pico hat so that it's offsetted. And this is the photo that really showcases how it looks like. So the speaker bonnet is offsetted by 12 millimeters or so away from the Pi. That way, the JST connector from the speakers don't clash, intersect with the case. Because if you look at where the USB and the HDMI ports are, that is right up against the case. So that's why I'm offsetting the board this way. Okay, next up, slide switch. Plugs into the, well, you gotta wire it to the power boost, enable and ground. Pretty straightforward. I just walk you through the various steps here on how to do it. I'm using 30 gauge wires just because we want a little bit of extra voltage coming out of those wires. Power boost. That gets wired into the speaker bonnet. So the speaker bonnet has 3 ground pins, extra 5 volt, and extra 3 volt. That is very useful because if you want to add more components, let's say you want to add some NeoPixels or some sensors, you can power them all through that 5 volt or 3 volt pin depending on your component. So that's really nice. That's actually where the LEDs are wired into the 3 volt pin and the ground pin. So it's nice that you have those extra ground pins on that.
Like this trend of adding all those extra ground and power.
Just like the feather boards that have all those power and ground rails. Love it. Very handy. Gets you a lot of use out of it. Let's talk about the buttons. So the buttons, I gotta confess, I CNC milled a PCB for these buttons. So you can download the EagleCAD file, which is, you can have Oshpark make it for you, or you can 3D print it. What do you mean you can 3D print a PCB? Oh yeah, you can 3D print a PCB, which is totally fine. So I have here is the PCB printed. So there's these little holes that allow, this is really dark in here, hold on, that allow the legs or the pins from the buttons to kind of protrude out so you can wire to them. So here's what it looks like in the assembly here, and I'm just kind of pressing these buttons in. So this is my little 3D printed PCB. It has the 2 mounting holes and a precise positioning for the pins, so you could just wire up all the grounds together. And that's really why I decided to make a PCB. I've been doing it for a little bit now, and I got the process locked down so I can do it fairly quickly. And that's why I did it, because I didn't want to tie all the grounds together. But it's totally okay to do that. So that's why I opted in for a PCB. Looks nice. All the grounds are tied together. There's just some wires that you need to connect to the legs. In my case, I have a pin, like a header pin that I broke out so that I can easily get to them. So the shape of the board is a little bit weird, but it looks cool like that. And those get soldered into the various GPIO pins that are broken out on top of the speaker bonnet. So here's what the final circuit looks like. Looks kind of clean. And it only looks clean because I used a crap load of heat shrink tubing to kind of make the wires look more concise and bundled up. So I definitely recommend getting a bunch of those. It looks nice. Next up, mounting plate. So this is a bit odd the way I designed, not really odd, but it's different. So I have this main mounting plate where the Pi Zero and the power boost are attached and secured with machine screws. So I'm using some longer screws in the back here with some washers because the speaker, the Pico hat it kind of doesn't allow me to mount it from the top of the board unless you have a really, really long screw. But I tell you exactly what screw sizes I'm using, and I also link to them in the overview. But the kind of thing is to just use a bunch of screws here, like 8 screws.
There's no way around it.
No, because it really is really goodly, nicely secured, so it's not going anywhere. It's kind of neat. It prints in like 10 minutes, the little mounting thing, so it's nice. Installing the buttons is the first thing you want to do. The rubber actuators are printed in NinjaFlex or TPU from Hatchbox or any type. If you don't have access to NinjaFlex capable printer, you can cut them in pieces with scissors and then put them inside there so they don't fall out. And then you mount the PCB on top of that. So it's pretty straightforward with two machine screws. The speakers are kind of neat. I like how this works. They're just these little slotted tabs. So the speakers slot into these tabs and it's held in with friction. That's it. There's no need for screws on that. So it works really, really cool on both sides as well. And there's just a big opening on the side of the case. There's a little bit of an overhang there, but it doesn't matter because most printers have...
enough.
Yeah, most printers have active cooling.
Yeah, exactly. And of course you can grab all these pieces separately if you want to. Just grab these components for use in a different style of speakers for it.
That's right. Let's see. Installing the mount. So the entire mount gets mounted to the side of the case, the inside of the case, with 2 more screws. These are 2 longer 10mm size screws, M25 screws, but they're 10mm long. And you need some washers to kind of get it in there. Now it's a little bit hard to get your fingers in there, so I recommend using some tweezers. Tweezers are great, like for doing intricate work and stuff. You're kind of building a ship in a bottle, so you kind of want to use tweezers. Talk about speaker wires. They're long, which is great for some projects. This one, since everything is crammed in this little box, you may want to trim the speaker wires. So that's what I did. It's kind of fairly easy to do that. Now that everything's installed in the case, you just kind of measure up the wires and kind of do some measurements and say, okay, I want them to be this long or this short. Just cut them and you can splice them. Just make sure to follow the colors, red with red, black with black, kind of simple. And then of course you want to use the heat shrink tubing. So that's how short the cables are in my little assembly there. Let's install the battery. This is a 2200 milliamp battery, but you don't need to use that. You can use a different battery. You can use like one of the dense pouch type, or you could use this really big one, which is the biggest battery that we carry in the Adafruit shop. This is a 6600 milliamp LiPo battery. It is a little pricey. It's 30 bucks. The 2200 is only 10 bucks. So if you want your battery to last 3 times as longer, you do have to pay a little bit more, but that's fine. There's plenty of room inside of Boomy for that big battery. So all the batteries in the Adafruit Shore have the JST connectors, which plug in directly to the power boost. And then how do you mount the battery? Well, you don't want it to rattle inside, so I kind of opted in for not designing a specific mounting fixture for the battery.
Although we do have models for each battery, ones where they just clip in. It's just like a little half circle where they just snap into, so you can grab those.
Absolutely, and kind of work your way with it. Maybe you can integrate it into the case, which would be really cool. Yeah. But I figured that people are going to want to bring their own battery, so I just stuck it on top of the speaker bonnet, which is fine. It works well.
You could also just power it through USB too.
Oh yeah, if you don't,
desk,
the reason why it's portable is just really so I can go in different rooms.
Cool, yeah,
it's
just
cool.
Carry it around.
All right. So that is the battery, and then the final touch is this is cool. So the faceplate. So since I have an opening in the back and you can see inside, I wanted to make it look really cool. So one of the things I thought was like, let me add these stickers, and this sticker is actually an insert that comes with a lot of the Adafruit products. So this is the Playground Express bag, and it looks like this. We actually can buy it like this from the store or from places like Micro Center and even some Radio Shacks. They actually sell it like this with this pouch. And one of the things I thought was cool is this is actually a sticker, this insert here. It's not just a piece of paper with like, warning labels from the FCC. It's actually a sticker. So this peels off like that. And you get this nice reflection. If you look carefully, squint your eyes, it says Adafruit. Isn't that cool? And there's circuit traces. It's reflective, so it works well with the edge lighting. Of course, this is a Circuit Playground Express, but it also comes with some of the NeoPixel sticks and even the motor shield. So these are kind of these exclusive bags that we're starting to make for Adafruits. They're really cool. So the sticker's back there, by the way. I also put the Raspberry Pi sticker over there on the speaker and the Smokey Through the Monster sticker there, which we probably talked about a little bit. So that's pretty cool. Those are the final touches, really, for the project. Oh yeah, the slide switch. There's a little holder for the slide switch. It doesn't fall out. It stays right next to the cover, and the cover is snap fit, so you can snap fit it and open it, which works really well. So if you want to change your Wi-Fi password or anything like that, you do need to SSH in or use an external keyboard and monitor to do that. But you have all access to all the ports, so it's fairly easy to do so. One last thing, if you do make it, please share it with hashtag Adafruit BoomyPi, and you can win some Adafruit stickers and stuff if you show it off on the show and tell, which we don't say that enough, so we need to say it more. Come on the show and tell, share your project, get a sticker, get a high five from Lamar and Phil, virtual high five.
You can also share it on the Show and Tell channel on our Discord.
Yeah, that's true. We have a slide for that. Cool. Now, let's take a look at the build video. So what I did was I made a build video that, you know, how else do you get footage of the build? Well, the build video. So let's go through it now. Maybe we'll catch some things that we missed out. But before we do, I want to have Bartle Beads playing in the background. Cool. All right, now we have some background music. Let's watch this video. Get ready. Oh, all right, I'm gonna have to wait for it to loop back around because that's near the end of it.
Well, what's at the end?
Cool. All right, so the first thing you want to do is install the mail headers on the Raspberry Pi, which is pretty straightforward. Again, I'm using this 3D printed jig, so this thing just slots in like that, and it keeps the headers at a 90 degrees or whatever, nice and straight with the Pi. Then I mount it to the pan of ice and solder it in. Look at that. That was like 40 solder joints. That was so quick and painless. So there's the Pico Hat. Pico Hat's a nice little board. It's like 0.8 millimeters thick, and it's meant to serve as a breakout for going in between two boards. But I'm using it to offset the board, and I think it's kind of clever.
What was the slimmest that you were able to get?
It's really slim. It's like 2 millimeters thick. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's really slim. So cool. Good job, Pyromony Pirates.
Yar.
So you don't have to, again, solder it permanently, but I did just to make it slim. And then you can use mail headers on the speaker bonnet. Using the same jig, I soldered it that way. And then I seed it into the Pico Hat, making a nice little package there. Yep, had to trim a lot of pins because it was really, really tall pins. So these are, this shot here is showing you how you kind of need a display and keyboard to test and install the software. So you want to do it like that. Get your own like keyboard and stuff. Next up, I'm showing you how to solder, wire up the slide switch. Pretty straightforward. It goes into enable and ground pin. Then you have a 5 volts in a ground wire that goes on top of the speaker bonnet. So you're wiring it into ground and 5 volts. Yay! Here's the PCB. It's a single-sided copper PCB. You don't have to do this. You can use 3D printed mount and then solder wires directly to those legs. So just be careful not to melt the plastic. And those connect to pins GPIO number 17, 27, 22, and 23. But they can be anything except pin number 18. And that's because pin number 18 is being used by the speaker bonnet to do the I2C stuff. So don't use that pin. I did and it broke. There's what the final circuit looks like. All wired up with excessive heat shrink tubing, which is always good. You can never have too much heat shrink. And then we work on assembling the handles, sticking it to the enclosure. It's pretty nice. It's very, very solid and sturdy because of all the screws. I'm using a screw tap here, and really, I can't recommend a screw tap more. This thing is awesome. So I can literally just use my fingers to twist and fasten a screw, which I hope showcases how smooth of the threads are once you do that to your 3D printed standoffs. I'm sure it could work with soft metal too, so you can like create threads and all sorts of different materials.
No, it's definitely helpful because every time I have to use a sacrificial screw just to tap the holes, because sometimes the screw strips while I'm trying to, you know, very forcefully create the threads for that. So this alleviates that.
And that's why one of the reasons this thing's so cool is that it's specially designed.
It's super sharp, and it has that handles on the side to.
Yeah, the handle's nice. There's these grooves here that catch all of the shavings of your material, and that way you have it kind of scoops out that stuff. See those grooves there? So it scoops out all of this material. I know this is like basic stuff for like woodworkers. Like, dude, what are you talking about? How do you not use a screw tap? It's like I've never used a screw tap in my 4 years of making projects and using machine screws. So going back to the guide or the video builds, which I think is pretty cool. You just use that, yeah, and then install and mount the boards by going from the top of the board instead of the bottom. Buttons get installed pretty straightforward. They get installed first, and then the PCB follows, and then 2 machine screws on the side there to keep it nice and stuck. It's kind of neat that this material you can, because there's enough spacing in between the buttons, pushing down on the whole assembly doesn't push all the buttons at the same time. So that was one thing I wanted to avoid happening. Speakers, stickers, slots, tabs, insert, and click it in. I'm surprised how well it works, really. Like you can shake it around and it doesn't fall apart. One of the really good tests is I let Gavin, Pedro's son, play with it, which is always like, but no, he didn't break it. He didn't, it survived the child test, which is always a good testament to your build. The mounting plate goes in like that. You use a long screw, plug in the thing. The cables are long, so we cut them short. Splice them together with a little bit of solder and some heat shrink. There's the battery, connects directly in to the power boost. Use the mounting tag, use the sticker from Circuit Playground, the squeegee to get rid of all the air bubbles.
There's so many steps that
I know.
We don't show.
I use Nitto tape. Oh yeah, so how do you stick the faceplate to the box? I use Nitto tape. It's this double-sided strong tape. I actually use it for securing metal to my CNC mill. It's that good. So it works well for Bimmy's face. It works with metal. The ports. Now, I couldn't come up with a good way to click it in, to lock it in, so I used some glue. Same thing with the acrylic window. So the slide switch plugs in there. And of course, snap fit. So that's kind of the whole build. It's a 3-minute build that we just watched, and it's just going to loop around, but that is kind of the whole build. Whoa, too many things. So, whoa, that was a lot. So sorry if that was too much to digest, but definitely recommend checking out the guide and kind of walking through it if you do want to build it, or if you want to get inspired to kind of take some elements from it, especially like the GPIO controller script. Definitely check it out and pick up the Pi Bonnet kit, which is linked in the guide.
That's right. And there's a bunch of the little tools that we used that people have been asking for. I've been linking to those in the chat room, but all of that is listed on the overview page.
They are. That's how you were able to quickly grab them, right?
Yeah. So anytime you have any questions about that, check that out. If you want to quickly show it on screen and scroll down to it, people might miss where it is.
Yeah, it's in the overview page.
Everything from
scroll
the
down
screws,
right
the
where
wire strippers.
Yeah. Now, they're not images of each thing because it would just be so much, because look how long that list is, but they're all there.
You can click on the link. It'll take you right there.
Yep. Even things like heat shrink, mounting, putty, solder wire, the screws, as you can see.
Saying they were having trouble getting the 2.5 mil screws.
Yeah.
We do have nylons in the shop, as well as links to the metal one.
Yeah, I wouldn't, you know what? I would recommend the nylon screws only if you create the threads with the tap, because it's such a smooth, you know, fastening thing. There's like no friction. There's like no friction on it. Exactly. But there's still a lot. You try to pull the thing out and it's like stuck in there. So it's really nice.
Yeah, the heat that's generated by you pushing it in there can also melt it.
That's right. I've had standoffs not just break but bulge out because like I'm forcefully screwing it in. This is still running. The battery will probably last an hour or so, depending on how loud it is and and that sort of thing.
And that's with the 22.
That's with the 22,
with
yeah.
the 66.
It lasts forever, yeah.
Lasted like all day, I believe.
This is the dramatic bridge, the breakdown.
Yeah, super handy. Little holder here. Kids love this thing.
Yeah.
Dancing around it.
I think kids really like it.
It's so cool just being able to, you know,
Bring it
have
around.
tiny little portable speakers around.
It's super useful because it's AirPlay, so we can have any device. I think it's better than Bluetooth because Bluetooth has to unpair, then pair, and then wait, and sometimes most of the time it doesn't work. There's no pairing here. You just see it in your iOS list as long as you're connected to the Wi-Fi. And that's another caveat, is that you are on Wi-Fi, so it's not going to work outside or out of range of the Wi-Fi, but it's still pretty good. I can go upstairs, come down, I can even go to the garage and play my little jams. And as far as how loud it is, it's pretty good. I gotta say, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like a phone is going to be maybe louder. Like
it will be.
iPhone will be louder, but
it's not a cute thing.
Yeah,
you didn't build it.
Exactly. Yeah, you can have this in multiple rooms and all that, and of course, you can't beat the cuteness of being able to carry this around.
Or have a open face Boomy with no face at all.
I know, I love this part right here. It looks like a workshop almost with the
I'll put
light on the top.
little minifigs inside.
You should put a little Lego minifig
a little
inside
succulent
here.
plant inside there. That'd be really cool.
Super cool. If you guys, again,
what's that? Oh, this thing?
Buy Bonnet.
Buy Bonnet.
10% off.
Get your stuff before the holidays.
Expires at 11:59 p.m. tonight.
Cool. We have about 15 minutes or so with the show, so we're going to try to run through all of it. If you guys have any questions, we'll be in the Discord chat room and, of course, on the YouTube chats as well.
Yeah. Real quick, what have we been prototyping? Jump over to the overhead.
We're going to switch.
So we've noticed in some of the Thingiverse makes that a lot of people really like the iPhone bumpers and cases that we occasionally make. I think the last one we actually worked on though was the 6 Plus, which was right before they started adding the dual camera setup to that, so we never got around to making those. To jump over to the overhead, went ahead and designed one for the iPhone 10, and I got the Ninja Flex one here. Have the very nice caramel color that we have, so it looks like a nice little leather going on here. Hugs the edges very nice. Got the very nice techniques that we've been able to apply on these. I think the last software that we actually designed these in was 123D Design.
Several years ago then.
Yeah, a very long time ago. So we thought it was definitely time to update all those designs for that. So not only the Ninja Flex bumper cases for that, or so redid the regular PLA bumper cases for this. So this super simple.
I love that we have 3
I didn't get to that one. So yeah, it holds on there very nice, and I think the most coolest feature of this case is being able to stand straight up like that. I know. When was the last time we were able to do that? I think iPhone 4 when they had the flat edges. So super handy for that. If you don't want the Ninja Flex one, nice access to the power buttons and all that, and nice grip. And of course, because it has the f2.8 optically stabilized lens on here, we thought it'd be really good to add it to the first telescope that we have in the store. This is the Celestron first telescope.
Yeah.
And this is an excellent way to, I think you have it back there.
That's right, sir. This was one of our earlier projects. We 3D printed a nice iPhone adapter for it, so that's cool. This is a $60 telescope that you can use to see stars, the moon.
Yeah, very nice time lapses of moons. So we're actually gonna turn this into a project since there's enough material and models and actual use cases for this since we've done this so long ago.
Yeah. There's some really great projects out there that use the Raspberry Pi and like do time lapses, motion time lapses. Yeah. We're gonna go with just making a nice 3D printed adapter for the iPhone X.
Yes.
And the telephoto.
Well, yeah, the telephoto. It's 2.4. Not even our.
Not even our bulky, our huge telephoto can do that. Now that's what the number you're using is, of course, the aperture, right? So that means how much light can get inside here.
Stabilized. I mean, the price of this is. I mean, this is a $3,000 lens that can't do optical stabilization. It can only do f2.8. The camera body is, $5,000. So right off the bat, there, you don't have. You can't even do a time lapse without an intervalometer on there. So the images that are coming off this is really good. We'll share those next week and have a nice little project on
That'll be fun.
all the editable files, some nice techniques that we're using for modeling all these, since we were never able to have or apply these using 123D all the many years ago that we designed these. But yeah, you can go ahead and grab the Ninja Flex that we have in the shop. These very nice blue colors. And of course, the Celestron telescope we have in the shop as well. So we'll have that out next week. And we'll share a couple more of the design techniques for that.
I'm just looking at the comments.
Oh, what's that?
Imagination Deform is saying stars and moons are not allowed where I am. That must be the light pollution. Yeah, so it's a little bit tough there, but hey,
and we'll do some tips on how to get these.
Can I see your phone?
time-lapses.
So
some
there's,
funny stuff. Yeah.
There's something called Face ID on the phone. So
we have seen videos where twins were able to unlock people's devices. You're like, huh? I wonder if that'll work with us. And
it's not working.
it's not working now. Of course, for demo time, it's not going to work.
You try it. It
Yeah,
worked
so-
just before the show.
I know. Let's see. Lock. Yeah, it has a couple of false positives.
Oh
on
my
there, so-
gosh, this is the advanced face recognition. You can't even get.
I can't even. Hold on.
So don't get the new iPhone X Max unless it's like for your job and stuff.
Okay, let's see. All right, that unlocked. Okay, let's try again.
Curtis, yes, we are using a telescope with the phone to take some nice photos.
Try it again. Yeah, I'll link you to the past project that we did on this, but of course the cases are only available for the iPhone 6 and iPhone 4.
Can you guys see that? Look at my face. It worked one time. Yeah. Maybe it's because of the background. Oh yeah, it is the background. I unlocked it, see? The little unlock button. We're not twins. We're 4 years apart, and somehow the phone thinks we're twins. Anyway, thought that was fun. Curtis is recommending an app called Nightcap Pro, which does long exposure stacking. That is really cool. We'll check that out. Thank you so much. We just use some of the Pro app things too. So that's one I have not heard of. So let me go ahead and
Give it a suggestion. I will take.
yeah,
Check that
Nightcap Pro. Let me make a note of that. Nightcap Pro. Cool. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's. So that's what Paige is working on. Very cool project. Shop Talk, we kind of covered that, but we're going to cover this week's Time-lapse Tuesday project, which was this guy over here by Thingiverse user Kaijay. He has a real name. I forget his name. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is a super cool little. You found this actually. It's called the Forbidden Watchtower.
Yeah, it's got a lot of likes and a lot of makes.
To the overhead on this.
Yeah, sure.
Or do you just want me to show it like that? So this was printed on the Delta Go 3D printer. I'm doing 150 microns on this. The only edits that I did to this was completely hollowing out the bottom of that so we can add our nice little 12mm coin breakout. And the cool thing about this being that you don't have to do any glue on this, it's just friction fitted on the inside there. Push that out. It's hollow on the inside here, so you can add a tea light, but because I didn't have to scale this up, we're just using this very cool little 5mm yellow LED. Has a very nice little glow on there, and then just simply press fits into the bottom there. I did have to use a couple of support material pillars right where the overhangs for the staircase is right here. But other than that, super easy build, just to show that even the simplest design that you could print out there, you can always add a light to it to bring it to life. And this little cap just goes on there like that. And super fun little build. We will upload this as a remix. You can grab the hollowed out version of this. The original design isn't hollowed here, but it does have room for a smaller tea light to go on top of that. But it does add bulkiness to the top of this unless you scale it. So definitely a good way to add a little LED to one of these. And it's kind of, I don't know, the theme of a holiday, I want to say, just because we have the tree in the background there in the video. But definitely a nice little print. You can add to like a train, little setup or something like that. Very cool. Awesome job there. And we have the link and download files for all these in the time-lapse video for that, and we'll add it to the description to this video as well. Very cool.
Great job, man. Yeah, I like the whole contributing to the design and kind of doing that. But look at that. Do you want me to link this guy here?
Yes,
it's all linked in there.
I'll link it. Yeah.
I like how it just kind of sits in there.
Yeah. So we have a 20 mil and a 12 millimeter coin cell breakout. Just depending on what size you need for that.
Yeah, what power constraints.
And the power as well, yeah.
Sweet.
Very cool.
That was, again, on Thingiverse. I linked it down below, and it's also in our Time-lapse Tuesday playlist, which you can find on the Time-lapse Tuesday playlist, and linked below as well.
Very cool.
Sweet. All right. We are pretty much closing the show now, but one last thing, we have some community make stuff. That was kind of a community make, but
if we jump over to the Discord chat, if we check out the channel for Show and Tell.
That's right. Let me get that.
I see a lot of people posting inside of there.
I also have some YouTube videos that I want to showcase. All right, so let's take a look at Discord. So there's lots of channels in Discord. General live broadcast is the one we're in right now. And I'm putting all the links to everything we talk about in there too, because folks want to know about the taps and all that. 3D printing is where we hang out as well. And here's the show and tell one. So let me scroll back a little bit. Not sure how far back I'm gonna go. It looks like we got some cool Halloween costumes.
Yes.
We got some LED cubes. I think this is about where I started, right? Yeah.
Scroll down from there.
So let's scroll down here. So this is an update to Sigaphos inside of his enclosure. This is the AdaBox control box. This is AdaBox 05. It's got some buttons, a Metro. It looks really cool, and 2 joysticks. There is a T-Rex in a mech suit, Super Dinosaur comic.
It's funny because that's actually next week's time-lapse T-Rex.
Yeah, a low poly dino.
That's really cool. NeoPixel and EL.
Olansky. He has this cool kind of NeoPixel awesome. Goggles, perhaps, with some EL hoodie, maybe? Oh yeah, here it is. With this Wonder Woman. Oh, that's so cute. That's awesome. That's great, man. Parenting win. Father win. This is super cool. Look at those lights. That's super awesome. Winner of Halloween.
He also has some on his hands. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Sweet. With the whole family in it. Super cool.
And then we got some...
Ooh, I love vintage remotes and stuff. So this is like a vintage remote or something. Magnavox remote. Yeah, look at those buttons. The real leather. It's super cool. So that's a great thing. It's kind of soldering buttons and stuff to it, so you can control all sorts of different things.
And don't forget, you can also post any fails as well, and you get
this always happens to me. Yeah, they're right there. Hot glue, all the way.
Hot glue all the way, yeah. Also, gaffer's tape around the top of that
really
works really well.
It's a good alternative. We have Juju19, who is working on a cat robot using a stuffed cat and a Pi Zero W.
Frequent participant in the show and tell.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out.
I think
always working on some really cool stuff.
Sparky pin. You get a Sparky emoji. Cool. We got some good stuff from Azure Skies, doing some progress on some projects. On a perf board. What is this? Amazingness.
Wow. It's huge.
It is huge. I don't know what's going on here, but it's crazy cool.
Like reenacting a scene or something.
Oh, it's a GLaDOS. That's crazy. This is from the game Portal. This,
yes.
That is crazy. Very cool build. This is a big build.
We got Z-Bones, who actually was on the show and tell last week, showing off these really cool pumpkins.
That's right. Looks like we have a YouTube video. I won't play it here just to kind of avoid any lagginess, but hey, it's there. Check it out.
Really cool ESP8266 API.
What? That looks amazing.
AP configurable wireless server.
Tracker, yeah, web server. Oh, it's playing the voiceover or the what are they called? The voice messages. You have some cool stuff from Cat over here, Carson Kutcher. Arduino sign language hand. Oh, that is a crazy one. That's very cool. So
be sure to check out.
That's the end of it. Thank you guys so much for sharing your stuff on the show and tell. It's a great, friendly place to get great constructive type criticism and just a nice high five and things like that. It's very cool. I'm trying to figure out where to go. There it is. Let me put some
the
Bartle Beat songs in there. Here's Frequency. So that's going to be it for the show. Don't forget, 30 minutes or so, we have John Park's workshop.
Definitely stay locked onto this channel for that.
I believe we're going to look at some teardown of Arduino Boy or something like that.
I saw that on Instagram.
Something cool.
So some really cool retro gaming going on.
Don't want to spoil it. No more. From the desk of Late Ada, it's rumored to be returning back
soon.
They've been doing a lot of filming. They did a huge IoT series with DigiKey. Yeah, so they did do that. A lot of filming, a lot of script writing, a lot of talking. Cool. Just a reminder, we do this show every Wednesday. Not Thursday, Wednesday.
We might return to Thursday one of these days, but for now, it's the Wednesday.
Why would we do that? Don't say that. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining us in the show. Again, don't forget, you can support the show and your maker habit with coupon code PIBonnet. That's the end of the show.
Thank you all for joining again.
Yeah, don't forget to check out the
next week. Check out the guide. And don't forget, later tonight, 7:30 p.m. for the show and tell live on YouTube. If you want to get an invite for that, you can check out the Discord chat for a direct link. Get ready to show off your awesome project. And right after that, we'll have Ask an Engineer.
Yes. Thank you so much for the comment, John. Appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with us. Good luck, everybody, with your maker projects. And stay safe. We'll see you guys tonight.
See you.
Bye.